Good afternoon, family. Thanks for checking out my daily diet diary. If you're new here, my name is Jonathan, and I created this channel as I work towards my goal of losing 300 pounds. If you'd like to join the family, hit that subscribe button down below. And if you'd like to participate on the discussion, you can join me most weekdays when I go live around 4 p.m. Central Time on YouTube. Make sure you have that bell icon clicked so you get notified when I go live so you can join in on the conversation. Another way to reach out to me is through the Discord I've created. There is a link for that down in the description below. Also down in the description below is a link to a Pinterest board. That is a great place for you guys to see the meals or the recipes for things that I'm eating as I work towards my goal. Today is day 865 of my 3-year challenge, and I've used a combination of extended water fasting and a whole food, plant-based, salt, oil, sugar-free diet to lose over 240 pounds so far. Maybe it's right around that. I feel like I should know, but since today was weigh-in Wednesday, I'm looking forward to reaching my goal and living the rest of my life at a healthy weight. If anybody has any on-scale victories, I'd love to hear those. It is weigh-in Wednesday. Let me know how you did on the scale today. If you do have any non-scale victories, I always love hearing those as well. If you're succeeding with your diet, share what you're doing with the rest of us. Let us know what you're doing to succeed. If you're struggling with your diet, let us know what's causing your struggles. We might be able to help you out. And at the end of the day, what are some of the things that you are going to do that will make staying on your diet easier than the alternative? Let's go ahead, switch over to the main screen here. Hello, Stephanie checking in, pretty girl's mom, tennis and yoga girl. Hello, everybody. I hope you had a wonderful evening, wonderful day, all of that. Since I saw you yesterday, it's been a busy work day for me, so I had a very busy work day today, but overall things have been great. We'll go ahead and start with looking at the food that I've had in the past 24 hours, which has not been much. Let me see here. Hold on a second. Let me see. All right, so let me pull this up here. So dinner last night was Spanish rice. I had a couple bowls, or it was a very large bowl of Spanish rice last night. So it was a decent volume of food last night with the Spanish rice. And then I had a dessert of pineapple ice cream. This was made in the Ninja Creamy. It is just pineapple in pineapple juice, frozen and then blended in the creamy. That was my food for yesterday, or the food yesterday evening. I did have some fruit and a little bit of other fruit other than the pineapple. I had some oranges last night, but that was a majority of my food from the evening last night. And then today, like I said, it was a really busy work day today. And so all I ended up having today was broccoli. I didn't throw any potatoes in the Instapot. I just microwaved or steamed up a bag of broccoli. And then I had not put it on my broccoli before, but we had gotten a sample of the California balsamics. They have a fig flavored balsamic. I put that on the broccoli. I really enjoyed it. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed it. And maybe it was just because I was that hungry that I was ready to eat anything. But that was really all the food I've had in the past 24 hours. It was the rice was a lot of rice. Like I ended up having to take my time to finish the food last night, but overall it was a good amount of food. Stephanie here says, the best creamy creation yet in your opinion. You make it often. It's Dole Whip from Disneyland. Yeah, we've messed with doing different flavors, and I had the pineapple and strawberry a couple days ago, and I did enjoy that a lot. But I'm sorry, banana and strawberry the other day, and I enjoyed that a lot. But the just straight pineapple, I just really like that a lot. I mean, it's so simple and easy to whip that up and put it together. So today was weigh-in Wednesday. I hopped on the scale. I hope you guys had a chance to watch the video from the weigh-in. But if you did not, I had a starting weight today, or last week's weigh-in. I was 282.4 pounds, and today I weighed in at 279.4 pounds. So that was a 3-pound weight loss, and that is 5 pounds over the past 2 weeks, which is awesome. I'm very happy to see the scale going back in the right direction. If you followed me, you do know that the two weigh-ins prior to these last two, I had gained weight in both of those weigh-ins, and I'm happy that it's corrected itself and the weight is going in the right direction. Hi, Our Tiny Acres. Stephanie says, congratulations. Thank you. I was really happy. And I'm happy that it's coming off in pounds and it's not coming off in half pounds or quarter pounds, that the weight's coming off fairly quickly. And I imagine that it'll keep coming off till I get back under the 272, which was my lowest. How's it going, Plants Only Muncher? And just getting on the scale, having that 3-pound weight loss, really feels like a victory. And the last couple days, or yesterday specifically, I spent a lot of time talking about the non-scale victories that I've gone through, or that I've had over the past, since I started this challenge. And today I kind of reflected back and was thinking a little bit of some of my on-scale victories that I had. Our Tiny Acres, you said that you expected a gain today, but you were excited, or you were exactly what you were last Wednesday. So that's great that you were able to maintain, and especially after you thought you were going to gain. So I imagine you either ate more food than you thought you should have, or you consume things that were higher calorie density than you thought you should. But I'm glad you were able to maintain your weight for the week. But yeah, I was just thinking back at some of my on-scale victories, because I've had some pretty awesome on-scale victories in my opinion. And the first of them started very quickly and very rapidly because of how I started this challenge. If you haven't followed me, I started my challenge on November 1st of 2020, and I challenged myself to do an extended water fast through the month of November. And I ended up completing the water fast. I was able to fast all the way through the month of November, and then I pushed it another few days, and I actually went a total of a little over 41 days that I water fasted. So some of my on-scale victories came very quickly. Like I said, I was 519 pounds when I started. Within days, I was under 500 pounds. I lost the first 20 pounds very rapidly. And it just goes to show how much my body just wanted to get rid of the weight, and how what I was eating and my environment was causing me to be as heavy as I was. So within days, I had lost the 20 pounds I needed to get under 500 pounds. And then 50 days into this challenge, I had lost 100 pounds within 50 days. So I had gone from 520 to 420 in less than 50 days. And then I got down to the 200 pound. I'd lost 200 pounds. I did that within the first year. So after I finished my fast, during the fasting, I lost about 90 pounds, and then I lost an additional 10 pounds in the next 9 days. And then after the water fast, refeeding and starting to eat a high carb or a plant-based diet, within the first year, I'd lost 200 of the pounds that I was looking to lose. And that's huge amount of weight, and just dramatically changed my life within less than a year, really. But and if I would have just done that alone, if I was 320 pounds now instead of 520 pounds, that alone would have been a life-changing amount of weight. But I've continued to have on-scale victories since that 2-year mark, or I'm sorry, the 1-year mark, hitting the 200 pounds down. And they maybe not as grand in scale as those first ones, but they're still maybe even more important to me, because it took a lot of work to get the next on scale victories. The first ones seemed like they came so quickly and almost with very little effort, but getting to under 300 pounds took me almost an additional year to lose the 25 pounds that I needed to get under 300 pounds. And then about 2 months ago, I lost, another 25 to 28 pounds and got to the point where I was the lightest that I've ever been as an adult. Since I graduated high school, since the time I turned 18, the lightest weight I have ever been was 272 pounds. And I did that within the last month here. And so those on scale victories are huge and amazing to me, because I thought I was destined to be over 300 pounds my whole life. And now I'm finding that I've been able to change that, and I've been able to make it happen. Let's see. Our Tiny Acre says you went out, and even though you said no oil, they clearly cooked it. Yeah, you talked about that the other day. So you had some stuff with oil in it, and you wanted to go, your husband wanted to go out again. So you made him take you to the mall so you could get a veggie sushi with fruit. There you go. That's awesome. Yeah, that, it's frustrating trying to stay compliant and going out and putting your food in other people's thing. Stephanie asks, where is the wifey today? The wifey has been absent all week. So we, this week at our kids' school is their spring break. And Carrie took the kids down to where she's from. And they hung out there for the first half of this week. So Carrie will be back on Thursday. I don't know if she'll be here. She'll be back Friday. If I live stream Friday, I imagine she'll be able to check in. So there's no Carrie here. So everybody that was here for her can leave now, I guess. Let's watch the viewers go down. But yeah, these on scale victories, they really are awesome. And I'm really happy with the on-scale victories I've been able to amass over the course of the past 865 days. Even though not every time I get on the scale, I feel like it's a victory. There's a lot of them. And even today, losing that 3 pounds, I'm still 7 pounds heavier than my lowest, but I'm 3 pounds closer than I was last week. No problem, Stephanie. I'm glad you're here for me. So a big thing, or one of the things I talked about in the weigh-in video was about volume eating. And I think that people don't, you don't realize how much food we're eating in a day and how many calories that we're getting through our food. But anyways, what I was going to talk about was kind of the quote I had put up on the thumbnail for my weigh-in, and it said, I wish I could eat less food. And that is a thought that has crossed my mind hundreds of times throughout my life, if not thousands of times throughout my life. I wish I could just eat less. I wish I would be happy with just less food. Why Why do I have to eat it all? Why do I have to finish it? And now my mentality is completely different. Now I look at it and I think I am so thankful that I can eat so much food, and where, like I said, before it was, why can't I be satisfied? And now it's let's keep it coming, like I don't have those same fears. And I think that the diet culture really instills a lot of these fears on us in our throughout our lives. And we get this dreaded calorie count, and I brought up the nutrition labels in the video too. The nutrition labels, they're set up to be warning labels. They're set up to tell us what's in this food, what these companies did to doctor it, what they did to change it, why it isn't a natural food anymore, and why it's required to have a nutritional label on it. And once we started putting these nutrition labels on food, people started to obsess about them. And it's weird because they've been on food for so long, we almost feel like it's been that way forever. And for most of my life and all of my adult life, it has been that way. So it's hard for me to envision a world where there's not nutrition labels on food, and a world where people aren't just consumed by the calorie count and the macronutrients that are listed on the labeling of the food. And it's almost like it's this weird game that people are playing, that they're trying to, or maybe it's because they can make it a game. That's why they enjoy doing it. I can make my calorie intake a game. I can set a limit for myself, and then I can try to find the most creative ways to fit within that limit. And so then you find enjoyment trying to play that game, but that doesn't help you with your diet and with your health. It's just a game that you play, and it's tricking you into this false sense, because whenever you eat these diets, whenever you start worrying about just calories, that almost always you're going to sacrifice volume so that you can fit the calories in, and you're going to prioritize flavor. You're going to prioritize that sensation because you're only getting it every now and then. So if you're only getting to eat every now and then you're going to want to make it as pleasurable as possible. Where with this diet, I get to eat a lot. And so I enjoy it when it's pleasurable, but it's not a determining factor on whether or not I'm going to eat something or not. I'm not choosing something because it's going to be the best tasting thing. I'm choosing something because it's going to be the most satisfying thing. And many times we just get caught with these old diet philosophies and these diet mentalities that really aren't that old. Like, if you think about the idea of eating a calorie in, calorie out diet, where you track your calories, that would have been extremely hard to do, if not impossible to do, prior to nutrition labels being put on food. So back in the 60s and 70s, when they didn't have nutritional labels, a calorie in, calorie out diet would have been much tougher to pitch to somebody or to even do, because people wouldn't have had access to those numbers. You could have assumed things, but without knowing exactly how many calories are in potato chips or Doritos, like, you could be vastly off, especially since the potato chip companies take a potato that is 25 calories an ounce, and they are able to inflate it to 150 calories per ounce, without knowing what they're doing or how they're doing that. I don't even know if you would have guessed that they could have made it that many more calories based on how they cook it and what they cook it in. And so it's something where we have to change our mindset. We have to realize that it can be, you can lose weight. You can lose a attainable amount of weight, like the weight that you're trying to get to is attainable, and you can sustain that weight loss all with the same diet. Like that's a big part too, is that many of us are in this mantra, this mentality of what I eat now is only what I'm eating to lose weight. And when I get to my goal weight, I'm going to eat something different. And that it can work in short spans. It can, to get you to your goal weight, but it's not going to keep you at your goal weight, and that was one of the reasons why I don't continue to do regular fasting or concern myself with the fasting, because when I decided to do fasting, when I started this channel, that was going to be the whole basis of the channel, is fasting. And, my Instagram is @fasting, which is a play on the word fasting. And what I realized after I fasted and I started eating this way is that doing a fast is a great way to reset your body, to reset your system, to get rid of or to get away from an old habit or something that you're trying to get rid of. But it's not an efficient way or really a sustainable way to get to your goal weight. And then once you get to your goal weight, even if you did it via fasting the whole time, if I would have just gone from fast to fast to fast, or if I would have just done one water fast for 200 days and got to my goal weight, that doesn't teach you anything about eating at a healthy weight, living at a healthy weight, or being at a healthy weight. And so by doing these anorexic diets, I don't know if I get in trouble on YouTube for saying a word like that, but doing these super restrictive low calorie diets and then going back to your open high calorie diet, you just keep going on this yo-yo back and forth that that we've all been on, that I suffered from for 20 years doing. And now that I eat the way I'm going to eat when I'm my goal weight, I'm not in a position where once I get to my goal weight, I have to learn everything over again. I'm in a position where I get to my goal weight and I'm a master of my diet. I'm a master of my body. I have complete control over it. And that's what we should be realizing with these diets, is that your diet, it may be difficult to start and you may have difficulty during the time, but overall it should not be difficult. This diet has not been difficult for me. I lost 3 pounds this past week. I didn't suffer in any way. The only way I suffered was that Carrie and my kids were gone. And that's probably part of the reason why I had a good weigh-in, because didn't have family around. It didn't have, it was bored, I suppose. But I guess I didn't go to food a lot of times. Anyways, but I lost the weight this past week, and I'm happy that it's gone and it went off. Stephanie says, did you do your own home water fast or did you go to a facility for guidance? I did my water fast at home. If you have the means or the ability to go to a facility, I obviously highly recommend that. I also, hey, Christy, glad you were able to make it. I don't necessarily recommend you fast for as long as I fasted. Like I said earlier, I think that fasting has a place in our diet, or in our overall health, but it's more for resetting. It's more for healing, and less for weight loss. People think of fasting for weight loss, and I absolutely did. That was my whole goal, fasting for weight loss. And it's not. Fasting is to heal. Fasting is to reset. Fasting happened to our species naturally. And so I feel like most people would be able to successfully fast for a short amount of time on their own. But doing the fast as long as I did, you have to take a lot of precautions. There's a lot of things that are at play when you fast for that long of a period of time, and those are things I knew going in. I didn't work out at all. I didn't increase my activity at all while fasting. I made sure to not overexert myself. If on day 12 I felt amazing and thought I could go out and do yard work, I held myself back because I knew on day 17 I'd suffer from it. And so there's a lot that goes into being able to successfully water fast for a long period of time. And like I said, I don't know that it's necessary. I would love to see people try to do like a short-term mono diet or a juice fast for a short period of time. But the whole goal of your fast should be to remove something from your diet, or it should be for healing something within your body. It shouldn't just be for weight loss, because most of the time you're going to rebound. Because most of the time you're not going to switch your diet. And if you're eating a certain diet that's got you up to 520 pounds, that diet's going to keep you at 520 pounds. Fasting is not going to fix that poor of a diet. Produce Not Pills says fasting is great. Everyone should do a longer term one. It's great it's great mentally and physically. Yeah, I really, with the fasting, I think that one of the things that I've read or I've seen is that it's a physiological adaptation, which means that our bodies are able to fast, whereas not all species of animals are physiologically able to fast. And because we have that ability to do that within ourselves, there's benefits to it as well. The main reason that I guess that fasting would be a necessity for humans would be at a period of time like we're in right now in the northern hemisphere. We're in the spring. If we had another snowstorm come in, or if it was later before the spring showed up, then some of those plants that we would be looking for wouldn't show up, and we would end up having to go days or periods of time where we don't have access to food, or the access to food we have is very limited. And so I think that humans can fast, but you just got to be careful with what you're doing, because because we don't live in a world. Because I think one of the biggest dangers that I've heard of from fasting is how they refeed. And if you were naturally fasting in the wild, if it was, you were forced to fast because it was a long winter, then when the spring started to come, it wouldn't be there immediately. It wouldn't be like you had 100% access to food right away. You would slowly be reintroduced to food. But in the current environment that we live in, we have 100% access to food, and it's probably 500% of access of the food that we would have had naturally. So you can hurt yourself by overfeeding or refeeding incorrectly, and there's other hosts of things. So I definitely recommend advising with the doctor or checking with the facility, but don't be afraid to play with a little bit of fasting on your own. Most of the time your body's only going to let you do too much to it before it says, hey, let's correct this, and don't push a fast either. Like if you're feeling awful, like that you need, then be okay with quitting a fast. Just make sure you have that food around that you're going to refeed with, have it planned out. Let's see. Plants Only Muncher, you said that as I suggested the other day, you baked only frozen peaches, strawberries, pineapples, blueberries, and then you added a chopped fresh apple for 45 minutes at 35 degrees and it came out fantastic. It sounds fantastic. All those fruits I would have been done after the peaches, the strawberries, the pineapple, and then you're throwing bananas and apples in there. And I was thinking about that, the fresh apples, about how good those would be, like a fresh, like a real apple cobbler kind of flavor. Produce.pills here says, as long as you have the body fat, you can fast, but it is best if you have the means to do it doctor supervised. Yes. And that's something that I believe the True North Clinic, they kind of stay they don't fast anybody for longer than 40 days at their clinic. But I know that they've kind of come out and said that from what their research shows, that a average weight man could last up to 70 days fasting. And so it's something where if you have the excess fat like I did at 520 pounds, it's not difficult to fast for that period of time, or your body can survive a fast of that period of time, I guess. Gene says, if your apples are going old, baking them works well. Yeah, I bet it does. And what did I just, sorry, got distracted. So yeah, the fasting, give it a shot. But the for weight loss, if you're here for weight loss, then the high volume, low calorie diet is definitely what you need to be looking at. Because if, we want to eat a volume of food. You don't want to eat a calorie amount of food. You want to eat a volume amount of food. If you go to the gas station and you put a half a gallon of 91 octane fuel in your car, you're going to go, 10 miles. But if you put 10 gallons of 89 octane, you're going to go a lot further. But even though it's not as super fuel, it's not as high of, you're going to get more out of the volume than the calories. Like our bodies, we all have, people that we say, oh, they can eat anything and they don't gain any weight. But I think overall, if you look at your friends and you look at your friends that are lighter than you, that are eating a similar diet than that you're eating, chances are that they eat less food than you eat. And if somebody's heavier than you and they're eating a similar diet, chances are they eat more volume of food than you eat. And if and so each person has their own individual volume that works for them. And if we're eating from the same bowl, then the person who eats the most volume is likely to be the heaviest person. What you have to do is you have to change the bowl you're eating from. You have to start eating a much lower calorie diet. And that the math I did with the potato chips blew my mind today. Like I didn't even realize that it was that big of a difference between a steamed or boiled potato being at like 25 calories per ounce or 350 calories per pound versus an ounce of potato chips. It's 160 calories and like 2,000 plus calories per pound. It's the same food, like it's still a potato, but it's not, the potato chip isn't really a potato. You're eating mostly oil and all the added crap but it's mostly oil. It really, that's where the calories come in with those potato chips. Produce Not Pill says, you always think about that. The skinny people who eat junk just eat a lot less of it. Yeah. And maybe they didn't eat breakfast that morning. Maybe they planned all day that they were going to have a big dinner. And so all you see is them eat this big dinner. And you think, well, how come they can have that big dinner, but I have to eat this salad? And then you look back at your day and you're like, oh, well, I did have McDonald's for lunch, like, yeah, like you're eating food when you're not around them. But even within a family, like I see it within my 4 kids, they all get served pretty much the same food every day. And we have a kid that's thinner than the other kids, and we have a kid that's thicker than the other kids. And I know why my thicker kid is bigger, because I see how much more food they eat than the other kid. And so if you are the type of person that eats a lot of food, like I do, like one of my kids does, like my wife does, then you need to change the food that you're eating. You need to change what's in your bowl. You have to start looking at foods that you could eat 5 pounds of fruit and you'd still have more calories available for another 5 pounds of potatoes, and you could add in another 5 pounds of broccoli. You could eat 10 pounds of food in a day, and 10 to 15 pounds of food in a day, and still stay under your calorie allotment if you're really that concerned about calories. And then on the backside of all of it, we're only talking about the consumption of calories. We're not talking about the absorption of calories. We're not talking about what your body actually retains. If I eat 5 pounds of potato, I'm going to absorb a certain amount of that, but I'm not going to absorb very much, because one, my body's going to try to get that 5 pounds through it because it's a lot of potato. But if I eat that equal calorie count in potato chips, it's going to take a fifth of the amount. So it would be 1 pound of potatoes to get to the same, or potato chips to get to the same. And my body is going to absorb every single calorie because it'll have the time to, because there's less food than versus the other way. But this food, the processing of the food, it removes all of the things that make it difficult for our body to absorb the food. They get rid of that fiber. They get rid of a lot of the bulk, and they just leave the calories for you to eat, because they know that's what you'll buy, because that's all they worry about is what you'll buy. They don't worry about what will make you healthy or make you better. They just want your money. So start looking at eating a high volume, low calorie diet. That could, is also pretty much a high carb, low fat. It's kind of the same thing. Because many of these carbs that people, I watched a video today and a guy literally said the phrase, rice is bad for you. And I just wanted to reach through the screen and choke him. I was like, are you kidding me? It's maybe the orange chicken that you get, or, but when you start adding crap to the rice, then sure, maybe there's an issue with the rice that you're eating. But if you're just eating straight brown rice or straight white rice, it's not gonna make you fat. The other thing, I wanted to strangle the guy the whole time, but he also, demonized sugar, which sugar's not great, but sugar's in fruit. Like, you can't say don't have sugar and then say go ahead and have an apple. Like, it's different, but it's still sugar. You can't across the board say that sugar is unacceptable, shouldn't be in the human diet, and then be like, oh, but you can have apples and oranges and pineapple and all this stuff that's full of sugar. But I get what he was referring to. He was referring to refined or processed sugar, but yeah, I couldn't believe the rice. People are so scared of carbohydrates. Quit being scared of carbohydrates. They are our fuel. They are what our body chooses to run on. If you put a carbohydrate and a protein in your body's going to run on the carbohydrate first. So Stephanie says, wow, definitely looking at chips with a different mindset now. Thanks for breaking it down. I was, I was blown. Yeah. Just like, yeah, it was surprising because I was just trying to get the idea of how many calories are in a serving of Doritos is actually what I had looked up. And then I saw that the serving size was 1 ounce. And I was like, wow, that's crazy. 1 ounce, like 1 ounce of food. Like I'm so happy I don't count my food in ounces. If I were to count my food, I'd be counting it in pounds and not ounces. Like, and with it taking an ounce of potatoes from 25 calories, Doritos is corn chips. Lay's is potato chips. I know I looked up, but Lay's potato chips are 160 calories per ounce. Per ounce. You can eat a half a pound of potato and it's the same calories almost, I think. I don't remember the exact math, but yeah, it's 12 chips. Produce Not Pills. If you're looking at Doritos, a serving size is 1 ounce and it's approximately 12 chips. If you're looking at Lay's potato chips, the serving is 1 ounce and it's approximately 15 chips. But nobody eats 15 chips. Nobody eats 1 serving. So it's kind of a joke. The bags, I think the smallest bag of Lay's you can get, is probably going to be, let me see. A snack bag of Lay's potato chips is 1 ounce, right? Maybe so it's 1 ounce is the smallest bag you can get. And that's going to be all of the 160 calories then. But that is a very small bag, I believe. Like a very small snack bag. Like you would put in like a kid's lunch. Most of us are buying larger bags than that, and we're eating much more chips. But yeah, so it's a very small amount of chips. And the something that I've in my head I think about more is what that food breaks down to in terms of like actual mass. So if you took a bag of Lay's potato chips, took a 1 ounce bag of the potato chips, and you crunched the bag up like you were chewing it in your mouth, and you threw a little bit of water in there like you had saliva, and you kind of mixed it up and made it into like a little ball. How big would that ball be? Would it be as big as a golf ball? Would it be as big as a racquetball? Would it be as big as a baseball? I'm guessing it'd be a lot closer to a golf ball than it would be to a baseball, if you're talking about Lay's potato chips. But if you took 160 calories of I bet it's even smaller than that. I bet it's like really, yeah. I can't, probably bigger than a marble. Maybe I'll have to buy a bag of 1 ounce Lay's potato chips, smash it up, and see how small it gets. Because if you take an ounce of potato and smash it up, it's still the same volume as an ounce of potato, really. It might even take up more space because you've ripped the fibers apart a little bit. But if you eat, if you think of a half a potato, that's going to be a half a potato after you chew it up and add water and ball it up. And that's where our satisfaction comes in, is from what size does that food end up being after we chew it up, after we mix our saliva up, and after we swallow it? How much space does that food take up in our stomach? These bags of potato chips, they look like they're going to take up a ton of space, but we all know that these bags of potato chips are filled with air so that the chips don't get crushed when they ship them. So when you buy that 1 ounce bag of potato chips, it may look large, but then you open it up and it's only half full. That, so they do kind of play that trick on your mind where you see that packaging and you think, well, that's a big amount of food. And then you open it up and there's nothing there. Stephanie says you just looked up the calories in tortillas because you usually go for no salt tortilla chips, and it is 67 for an ounce of tortillas, and the serving size of tortilla chips is 140. So yeah, the tortillas I think are probably less calories than potato chips. And then they're going to be less calories than Doritos, because Doritos are going to have cheese and not sure. Oh, that's 1 cup. 16 grams. Yeah, so that's what that comes up as. I see. Yeah, so it is. But if you looked at what 1 ounce of corn, so there's 24 calories in 1 ounce of corn. So they're tripling the number of calories still. They're figuring out a way to triple it, or something like that. More than double it. Produce Pill says you can eat so much processed food and it makes sense because it has so little volume. Yeah, in hindsight, I'm realizing that. Even those McDonald's burgers, you add a little bit of water to that bun and you squish it up and it's next to nothing. But the fries the same way. And then the calories that you get from the oil and the fries. But yeah, and it was no wonder that, I felt bottomless, is because what I was putting in my mouth, a lot of that dissolves. A lot of that is water soluble. Like what looks like volume on the item itself ends up being, water soluble, that it doesn't turn into any volume in your stomach. And then Gene says that your moderation of chips was 1 serving, but you had 4 to 5 servings before the end of the day. You know better now. Yeah, it's that quick, it's, and it's tough to find 1 serving of chips. You're going to go to the store and it's going to be like, well, I can spend 60 cents on 1 serving, or I can spend $1.50 on 5 servings. You kind of feel like you're getting ripped off if you buy the single serving. But then once you bring in the multiple servings into your house, it's impossible not to eat the multiple servings, because once it's in your house, it's in your mouth. And so Produce.Pills here says that you thought you weren't normal because you could eat so much. Absolutely felt the same way. And you still felt hungry, so little volume. So of course you didn't feel satisfied. Yeah, absolutely. That's what, just the times that I would just push myself and keep eating. And again, like I said in that quote, why can't I stop eating? Why can't I quit? Why can't I? And now I realize is that I don't have to. Why should you have to? That's what nature is saying to you, is why should you have to limit? Because there's nothing in nature that's going to make you obese. There's nothing in nature that will make you obese. Like if you eat natural foods, I think it would be impossible. It would be near impossible. Especially to start off skinny, like to take yourself from being skinny to overweight by eating a plant-based diet, I think would be very difficult. And you'd have to have a very selective diet of nuts and seeds, pretty much wholly. I think that's about all I have for today. I rambled on, talked a little bit about my on-scale victories, talked a little bit about high volume, low calorie, which is also high carb, low fat. Really, it's kind of the same thing. Just realize that you're not broken. if you sat there and you had that same thought, if you sat there and thought, you know, like Produce Not Pill said here, that there was something wrong, that you were the broken piece of the equation, it's not the case. You're not the broken part of the equation. It's the food that you have access to, or the food that you are consuming, that's the broken part of the equation. And you need to fix the food if you want to fix the weight. And it's going to happen over time. It's not going to drastically drop your weight. I mean, at first you're going to have drastic weight drops, but you're going to have drastic weight drops on most diets. Once you eliminate, because a common theme amongst almost all diets is the elimination of the highly processed foods. And so that alone is going to help you greatly, but it's a lifelong process to fix morbid obesity. You know, it's not going to be something that happens overnight. I didn't get fat overnight. I'm not going to cure it overnight. Didn't get fat, you know, it took me 38 years to get as fat as I got. If it takes me 38 years to get unfat, then that's what it's going to take. But at the end of 38 years, I'm not going to be 520 pounds. That's for sure. So I'm going to pop off. I appreciate everybody that joined me in on the conversation today. And I appreciate everybody who watches this on the replay. If you have not subscribed to the channel, make sure you do. Something I just realized, I'm curious as to what your guys' opinion is on, I've started calling this my daily diet diary. I don't know if that'll stick or not, but I think that that's kind of an appropriate title for what I'm doing, and what I got going on, because, so anyways, just thought what your guys' thoughts are on that. But if you guys have not subscribed to the channel, make sure that you get subscribed to the channel. If you've not clicked on the bell icon, make sure that you click on the bell icon so you get alerted when I go live or post new videos. If you've not liked this video, hit the like button. Let YouTube know that there's something important that everybody needs to listen to. So hit that like button. Comment down below. How did you do on the scale today? What are some of your on scale victories that you've had over the past, course of your weight loss challenges that you've had? And if you have not started your diet yet, get started right now. Get going. Get off your ass and get going. Nobody gets to their goal weight, looks back and says, man, I wish I would have waited. Everybody who gets to their goal weight looks back and says, I wish I would have started this sooner. I feel amazing. I'm so happy that I got it started when I did. So get started now, guys. You all have a great evening.